Kimberly.
Hello, FlossTube. We're the real Housewives of Cross Stitch.
I'm Priscilla.
And I'm Chelsea.
And we're here to teach you how to dye fabric.
And I'm Kimberly.
Cross stitching.
Yeah, so today, thank you so much for joining. Priscilla and Chelsea are with us, and they're going to show us how to Rit dye. And so, kind of how we're going to do this is they're going to show me, and then I'm going to watch, and then I'm going to try to do it. So that'll give us plenty of time to answer questions. And just so you guys know, we're obviously not filming where we normally do. So if there's a lag or something, just please be patient. So I think we're going to start off with a trunk show where they show us different dyed fabrics and talk about Rit dye and what Rit dye is and how you use it. And then we'll go into the tutorial. So as you have questions, just ask them and I will, we'll get to them as we go.
Okay. All right, so first of all, this is our Black Cat Bakery, and it's done on apple green Rit dye. This came from Hobby Lobby, the dye, but you can buy it on Amazon. You can get dye at Walmart, grocery stores, but we buy the liquid in the bottles like this. And I'm just going to show you a couple more pieces, and then we're going to dive into doing it, and then in between when it goes in the oven, we can show you more. This is Calvin and Trixie, one of our sip of the seasons, and this is done on charcoal gray fabric that has been coffee tea dyed. I just looked him up, Stanley and Clovis and Stanley. This is another one of our sip of the seasons. It was also done on charcoal gray with the Rit dye. Gosh. What's his
Calvin
name?
and Clyde.
Calvin and Clyde. This is a really popular one, and this is done on denim blue, coffee tea dyed. So we're going to tell you what you need to get started if you're dyeing. We dye like exclusively with Monaco, and I have dyed some Ada for Kimberly. But what you do after you get it out of the tubes is I wet it.
You're going to need a glass pan that preferably you don't cook in, so maybe run to Goodwill and pick up something that you're not going to cook in. You're obviously going to need your bottle of Rit dye. Today we are showing you...
Yes, we're going to do petal pink, and we're also going to do, let's do this color. This is evening blue.
You'll need some kind of spatula or spoon to be able to submerge it.
And I don't have any rubber gloves, so I'm using a spatula. A measuring cup. You don't need a measuring cup, but I use one. I use Kosher Salt, just like a teaspoon in each batch because it helps the dye set better. And
very hot water.
Yes, very hot water. And I'm going to show you how to do the cheater way of putting a little bit of coffee modeling on top of this pink fabric.
For the end part, you will need a baking sheet with parchment paper to throw it in the oven to set the dye. People have used the microwave, but we prefer the oven because we've tried it and we know that it works.
Yep. And I'm actually boiling water in my little tea kettle, electric kettle, so it'll dissolve the salt faster and we won't have to do that. Okay. So are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really measure. I just like throw it in.
You don't measure, but you have a measuring cup.
No.
Probably a tablespoon.
No, that was like half a teaspoon. My water's almost boiling, so I'm gonna pour some of that in and get this dissolved. And you don't have to use boiling water. It's just easier to get the salt.
Like she said, she took the Monaco out of the package and she has wet it. She squeezed it so it's not sopping wet anymore.
Okay, and I'm going to do the pink dye first. You have to shake it really well. I usually do this by my sink, but because of the camera things, we're doing it right here.
It's fine. She just got her cabinets painted. It's no big deal.
So how I measure this is I pour it into the cap. and then pour it into the water.
How many capfuls?
Just one.
Just one.
And now I'm gonna put some more hot water in it.
What can you explain what the salt is for?
It helps to set the dye better, and I don't know, I didn't used to use it, but now I use it all the time, and I think that it gives you a better result.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to do the white. I'm going to empty this water out. I'll use this hand. So I have my fabric. It's been wet.
It doesn't matter, cold water, hot water, however you wet it, it's fine for that part.
And then I just scrunch it in the scrunching is what gives you different, gives your fabric like movement so that it looks modeled.
So you can see the areas where it's a little bit darker and mottled. That's what gives you that.
So just really scrunch it up. And this is where it's handy to have the gloves because you can get in there and do it. I'm going to give this a little bit of a mix. And then I'm just going to pour this over the top.
And the color you're using is petal pink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is the color that we used for an upcoming release to give it kind of a vintagey Christmas.
And then you can like tip your bowl to get some of this. So that there's no white. You might want the white though, so whatever you want. But I like to get it mixed around really well.
And then we're making sure that we're using all the utensils we're not using for cooking or anything like that. Everything you're using for this is just for dyeing because you don't want to poison yourself.
I mean, I've probably seen the spatula being used to frost a cake, but yes.
Yeah.
It won't any longer.
You are so rude.
So
When do I frost the cake?
what size fabric did you start with?
This is the Monaco that we get from Fat Quarter Shop, and we use the full 20 by 24 inch piece. And you know, we like to do a full piece at a time because we'll show you in a little bit. We have a stack of fabric that we're able to kind of go through whenever we're choosing a new design.
All right, so I don't think that this is dark enough, and I'm going to add another. Oh, yeah. When I did mine, I did it twice.
Let's go crazy.
I'm going to add another capful.
Do you want to tease what you have coming up using this fabric or just talk about what you have coming with this?
Yes, we will. Just going to mix this really quick. Ooh.
We're live.
And the glass container is about 8 by 11 or so.
Yes. All right. Are there any questions that we could answer? Like a couple.
No, they just wanted to know. They still want to know about the salt and why the salt, what the salt does.
I don't know. I read about it online, and I think Rit Dye website, and you can go to that website, and they teach you how to do a bunch of different colors, so you can do more than just what they show. All right, so I'm going to take this to the sink, and I'm going to dump out the excess.
Will that color change at all once it's in the oven? I mean, will it lighten or anything that they should be?
I think it lightens because of the the when fabric is dry, it's lighter.
And you added salt
All right,
in that second, when you did the second color, you added salt, right?
No, I did not add salt when I did the second one, and I could have, but I didn't.
Okay.
I'm gonna take this to the sink now, and I'm gonna rinse it out.
And are you rinsing with cold or hot water?
I use like warm
Like a side breeze now.
and squeeze it.
You want to get all the excess out until the water's running clear, right?
Yeah, until when you squeeze it, there's no more steam. And it's pretty dry because then it doesn't take as long in the oven.
Everyone's saying salt is a fixative, and that's great, but I don't even know what fixative means. So we're just
It means it
gonna
helps the
say
dye.
use salt.
It needs. Okay, so can you see the modeling on this?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Yes, it looks really good.
All right, so scrunch it back up again. And this is the one that I'm gonna do the cheater method that I did the other day.
Yeah, so before we put it in the oven, this is going to be just an extra step if you want to dye it the way that we did for the upcoming release. And I'll kind of show. Should I show
Yeah.
that?
Like I said, I was being lazy. So
So this has a little bit of modeling to it.
I have this instant coffee, and I'm just putting it in a mason jar. And I'm going to pour some of that water that I had boiled on top of it.
Now, if you're just Rit dyeing, the step is not necessary. You would go to the next step, which would be the oven.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that, guys, because I don't even have that kind of tea here or coffee or whatever. But tell us how the fabric shrinks, and if it shrinks, and how much.
I think it probably goes down from a 28 to a 27.
The longer
Count.
you keep it in the oven as well.
All right, so I just put a little bit of the coffee on it. I'm not going to use it all. Just mash it down.
You're just dyeing fabric with those bracelets just right on your hand. They're not even gonna turn pink.
She can't take those off.
I can take them off.
Now the oven has been set to 200 degrees.
All right, and I just poured out the rest of the coffee.
You want the
And I'm
pan to
going
be
to stick
dry.
it in the oven. My shoe's untied.
All right, what color are you going to do next?
The evening blue. What did I do with the coffee?
I have it. I'm keeping it. Okay, evening blue. Show them what's
All right.
on the evening blue.
Right here is a given. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. That's on evening blue. Are you looking at this? Oh shoot. Upstairs. Sunny Days, one of our sunflower pieces. You Are My Sunshine. These are Dapper Doodads. Snowed in sunflowers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is Candy Cane Coop. Chickens and
And so
Everything gingerbread.
tell us the color you used on all of those, and are some of them, it looks like some might be coffee tea dyed and some are just
This is coffee tea.
just
yes,
not,
you're right.
right?
So it's evening blue. This bottle is getting kind of, we've used a lot of this.
These were not coffee tea dyed. So this is the just Rit dyed. And you can see how well the colors pop on this. And then this one is
Coffee tea dyed, and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is too. Where's the stack of fabric? You probably have some in there.
And then how long are we going to leave it in the oven?
Oh shoot, I forgot to set the timer. All right, I'm gonna do. It's just like cooking, right? I just did 15 minutes because I figured we probably we've been talking for 5. We're
Okay.
going to do 2, but I'll check it. And then coffee tea dyed. I think we use evening blue the most out of all the colors that we do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And what is the brand of tea that you poured on?
It's instant coffee.
Oh, Insta Coffee. Okay.
I mean, anything you can get at the store just to give it a little bit of color. We used to, when hotels had those little coffee packets, now they have K-cups, but they used to have those coffee packets, and we'd use those with the tea bags as well because it was contained, which was nice.
All right, so I've already rinsed this out, and you get a little bit of this starchiness out of it.
And this is the antique white that we're dyeing.
Yes.
So 28 count Monaco, the full piece, a 20
And
by
the-
24 inch.
And the oven is 20 minutes.
Yes.
The temperature is 200.
Yes.
And you can use coffee or tea or both. Today she's just using instant coffee.
I'm doing the cheater thing today. But it turned out really good, so it's fine. All right, I'm gonna put my salts first.
And you can start with any color, white, ivory, antique white.
Yes.
You can start with any color.
Yes. I thought it would be good that we showed that, you can dye on both. And I think that that's why there's differences in some of our fabric colors that we just showed you, because one of them was probably done on this and one of them was probably done on white. So.
And then people are saying, can they just hang dry it or just dry it, not put it in the oven?
No, you need the heat to set the dye so that, in case you wouldn't want your floss to pick up the color of the dye.
And the fabric looks yellow. Tell us what color that was again that you're starting with.
Antique white.
Okay. And it just looks different because it's wet.
Yes.
And they're using kosher salt, not table salt.
All right, so I just did a cap full of the evening blue. I'm going to rinse out my cap when I add more water to this.
Your new roundabouts that you just finished, did you do those on antique white or white before dyeing evening
They're
blue?
on my nightstand.
I
did. Chelsea's running upstairs to get them. I had them upstairs to take pictures yesterday. Sorry. I can't remember whether it's
okay.
tea and coffee dyed on top or not. So I have my dye all done. I'm going to give it a quick stir. And then I'm going to pour. Coffee tea dyed?
Dyeing will slightly shrink the fabric, but it shouldn't adjust your design by too much.
No.
We have found it shrinks the most when we are doing a darker color. So there was a time where she tried to dye it like a dark chocolate brown or a black. We tried to get a black dyed color, and that's when the holes shrank the most, I'd say. These are the roundabouts that we were talking about. So this is the one that was released today. This is Santa's Snowman, and it comes with a bonus chart. I'm winded from running up this.
It's a lot. Leap in the gate.
Skate with Mrs. Claus. Santa's Pals.
Look at how pretty that is already.
So, Priscilla, do you ever flip it over, or you just put it in there and you just let it sit? You don't move it around?
Yeah, I just,
okay.
No. Because if you move it too much, then you're going to, if you don't want it very modeled, then you should probably, if you don't want modeling, you should probably just lay it out flat like on a cookie sheet and do it there. But we like the modeling.
Instead of scrunching it up in that process.
Mm-hmm. But just tip your pan and get it, so that everything's got a little bit of blue at least. Do you need me to call 911?
They-
All right, I'm pouring out the rest of the dye.
So when you pour out the dye, are you just pouring that in your sink?
Yes, I'm just pouring it in my sink,
Okay.
Kimberly. I know. I'm gonna rinse it though because this is really dark.
Linda says she loves how Priscilla can dye and not get it on her fingers. She'd have it all over her clothes, her hands, her
Oh,
arms,
she's
her
got
face.
it. Do you have to rinse it out now?
Yes, I'm gonna rinse it out. I want to leave it sit for like 2 minutes and then we're gonna rinse it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Won't the dye react adversely to the metal of a cookie sheet?
I'm not sure about that.
And she's going to use parchment paper on it, so it shouldn't affect it.
I think a lot of no, like when we put it in the oven, nothing. I think
dye it on.
yeah, but a lot of people buy those disposable aluminum pans and do it on there, so there's no problem with that.
Okay.
That's another one that's evening blue. This is another one of our pieces that's evening blue.
Bunny Garden.
Bunny Garden. And that one has coffee tea dye too, I think. Maybe not. Yes, it does. All right. I'm going to go rinse this out.
Okay, stand sideways.
Look at that fabric.
That's pretty.
So y'all will notice she did the pink twice, she did the blue once. I think it's just, experience. She's done it enough to know what to do. How long do you let it sit in the pan before you dump the water? And if you let it sit longer, does it get darker?
Yes.
Yes, it will take on that color darker. For right here.
So
she
how
just
long
left
do you let
for a
it sit in
couple
the
minutes.
pan?
I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. It depends. Like,
Okay.
if this one is really dark, so I think it'll lighten up though when we.
And then everyone's saying if you have a porcelain sink, do not pour it in the sink. Ask me how they know. And we have a plastic bin for mine, so. And people keep asking the same question about can you use a dryer rather than the oven, and so.
No, but you can use a microwave. You can roll it in a towel and microwave it. I'm not sure for how long, but I think that those directions are also on the Rit Dye website, but we have never done that, so I don't know.
Okay.
All right, and there's the evening blue fabric. Now, we know that it's gonna lighten up because I've done this 700 times and this is the color that we have, so I don't know if it'll lighten up that much, but this was also done on the antique white instead of the white. So if you do it on the white, it's going to be lighter. But we just wanted to show because we have a lot of the antique white and we don't use that usually. So
We use it to dye. We don't use it.
yeah, but what I'm saying is I use a lot of white for stitching and the antique white I don't use so much for stitching. So that's a good one for me to dye with since I have it.
And have you ever tried to dye to get to black fabric?
Yes. It did not turn out really good.
Okay.
This is going into the oven for 20 minutes at 200 degrees. She's got how much longer on the petal pink?
6 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, that wiped right up. I had dye on the.
It's fine.
All right.
You want to show some apple green?
Sure. All right. So this is apple green fabric.
Yeah. That's apple green without coffee tea dye, and then this is apple green with a dunk of coffee tea dye. So you can see the brightness, or you can dull it down and make it more vintage looking. Okay, sweet as honey. Snowed in honey.
And the one that we showed you in the beginning too, the Black Cat Bakery, that one is on the apple green fabric. But this turns out really pretty to stitch on.
A lot of people have been dyeing their Halloween fabric for Halloween roundabouts. They did a purple and a green to give it a little bit of spookiness, which looks really, really pretty too. So it doesn't have to just be for spring things. It can be,
Yes.
like we showed you that Black Cat Bakery.
And dye is pretty cheap. These are $4.50, and we've been using these forever. I don't think we've ever bought a new one of the colors, and you know that we stitch a lot. So
Now, if you don't have a Hobby Lobby, Amazon was around $7 to $8, and Walmart was also around $7 to $8. So I don't know.
Was it really?
Yeah, so maybe these prices have gone up at Hobby Lobby if we haven't bought them for 10 years. But all right, do you want to show this one again for Halloween?
And that's the Black Cat Bakery.
Everyone loves the apple green.
Yes, apple green is a fun one to stitch on. A lot of the colors really pop on it.
This is denim blue.
Yes, this would be denim blue.
Yeah.
And y'all generally dye with one color, right? You're not mixing and matching colors. You're just using one.
Especially for the people that want to stitch the things to make them look like ours, we need to like stick to the basics. So no, we have not.
She's also tried it before and it didn't turn out, right? Dyeing with two colors.
No, I did.
Oh.
I'm trying to think.
This
denim blue.
Denim blue, so I just want to show them some denim. Can you show them a denim versus the evening blue that we just did?
Yep, this is evening blue. And then there's also an aquamarine. I don't know that we have any fabric that's dyed aquamarine right here. That might be, yeah.
Here.
All right, I have 3 minutes left on our pink.
And with all these, if you're dyeing your own fabric, of course you want, I mean, you would do this normally, but you want to do a floss toss on it if you're changing the fabric of what was called for, just to make sure the called for colors really pop on there. If you're choosing your own colors, so a floss toss, you just take the colors and lay them out on the floss to make sure that they pop.
All right, so this is how. This is the pink that's now on the parchment paper. So I'm going to stick it back in the oven to get it a little bit drier, but it's pretty color.
So you started with the Pyrex pan for like 20 minutes, then you moved it to parchment paper, got it a little bit flatter, just let it dry some more. How long will you leave it in there for?
I'll probably do like 10 minutes, and then it'll still be damp. And I usually take them and hang them outside, or so it'll be about 30 minutes total. Now, when we do the official coffee tea dye on top of the dye, then we're doing 20 and 20.
Okay.
But
and
we're
we're
gonna
going
go
to
with a half
show
an
the
hour.
tea dye on November 15th. So if you
Yes.
if you're going to dye something today, just dye it without the coffee, just like I'm about to do, and then save it and we'll tea dye it later.
Any other questions? This is denim blue.
Okay.
Yeah, the three blues that we use are evening blue, which we just showed you. That's probably the most. There's a darker, which is the denim blue. And then the aquamarine. And this is a brighter.
This one, I don't think was coffee tea dyed.
Right.
And then this one was.
You can see how it lightens it up a little bit. Here's aquamarine.
Did you leave the coffee on the piece or rinse it out before you put it in the oven?
I left it on.
Okay.
I didn't pour that, and you could rinse it out if you didn't want it to be as dark.
Okay, so I think we're gonna start. I'm gonna start, right?
We're excited.
Okay.
Do you feel
Okay.
equipped to do it?
I don't know. We're gonna see. So yesterday on my desk was the Witchell white from the club at Fat Quarter Shop, so that's what I'm gonna use, and it's 18 by 25. And first I need to get it wet, right?
Yes.
Yes. Rinse out a little bit of that starch, I think, that they have in it.
Okay, and then in my my measuring cup, I'm gonna put some kosher salt, water. I need it to get hot, so I'm gonna let it get hot real quick. I'm gonna put my gloves on though, because I cannot have pink hands. I think they're gonna match my fabric. Must seem to take a while to get hot. Okay, so how much am I going to put water in there? Just a little bit? I put the water before the dye, right?
Get a little bit of water in there and mix up your salt.
Okay.
You want the salt to be dissolved before you add in
The petal paint.
Okay. And then add a cap full of the pink.
Yep, do a cap full at a time because you are using fabric. Just try the cap full first.
And I'm using Ada, and they use Monaco. And then I stir it up. Oh,
No,
they said
add some
more water.
hot water. Make it a cup.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now stir it.
Mix. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then I put this in here, right? I put the fabric in here.
Yep.
Okay, first I need to unfold it, I think. Okay, I think does that look good?
Yes.
Okay.
Push it down with your hands to make it flatter.
Okay.
There you go. Now drizzle your pink all over.
Just pour it, right?
Well, I would drizzle it. Don't like get it all in one area.
Okay. Okay, and then kind of like pat it down.
Sure. And it like pick up your pan and move it around if you feel like you need to. Like roll,
slide.
yeah, tip. Oh, look at you.
Watch it come out red or something.
It's not coming out red. It looks pink.
Okay. Then I gotta rinse it,
Are you-
right?
I would leave it sit for 2 minutes and then rinse it.
Okay.
I think by flipping it over and moving it around like you did, I don't think you're going to have as much modeling, but you might not like the modeling anyway, so it works out good.
Yeah. I don't like modeling. Okay, so you use Monaco. I'm using Ada. Oh, and then someone says this is going to be a new Kimberly pink.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm so worried that there's going to be like a white spot on it.
Did she do a second capful?
No.
I think it looks pretty dark.
Hers looks dark enough.
Yeah. I don't think
She used a different fabric, so it might be different.
Which was not.
Yeah. And
Okay,
yeah.
so-
Okay, so rinse it out, right?
Yep. And get rid of your dye.
Okay, so I'm just using a plastic tub in my sink, just so you know. And rinse it with any kind of warm water, right?
Warm, yeah. Until it's clear.
Okay.
Looks like a really pretty color.
Yeah, it does.
Now, what if at this point they thought it was too light? Could they go back and put it in the pan
Yeah.
and redo it?
Yep.
It would still take on the dye.
Yep, that's what I did with the one I dyed.
Okay. And then put it
All right, now,
put it back in here.
but pour out the dye that's in your pan.
We will. We will.
Okay.
Oh,
All right,
what's
then
this?
scrunch it up.
Okay, this Denise says this is the dye for my pan, so we're just gonna ignore that.
Oh,
Whiz.
okay, okay.
That's just like leftover, so I don't get my sink dirty. Okay, so I'm putting it back in my pan, right?
Yep, scrunch it again.
Okay.
Is it mottled at all, or is it like solid?
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit. Yeah, it's got modeling to it. Okay, so then I need to put this in the oven, right?
Yep. And make sure that your edges of your fabric are shoved down because those will burn.
Oh,
Is it pretty dry? Is there water still in the pan?
no? No, there's none?
Okay.
Oh. I'm getting dye everywhere. We have white towels everywhere. Okay, let me do this again. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in the oven at 200 bake.
20 minutes on the timer.
Okay, so we're gonna set the timer.
And if you're not a person that cooks and you don't know if your oven is like if your oven is like the right temperature or anything, just check it every few minutes or something.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. This Michelle says it makes her nervous. It's funny watching Kimberly. She's so unfamiliar with her kitchen. Oh, absolutely. They had to ask this morning before we started. They said, "Do you know how to turn on your hot water?" And I was like, "No, I actually didn't." And this is a good question. Can dark fabric be dyed and lightened? Doubt it.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
And then you can always buy fabric that's already pre-dyed, like Picture This Plus or Fiber on a Whim. That's, they do something similar to this.
Yes.
Tammy says I'll have a reason to use my kitchen. You can dye any type. Okay, let's look at the questions that came in beforehand. Let's see.
I put it back in. Just left the timer.
Oh, do you mix, we already asked this, but do you mix any of the Rit dyes to create a new color?
No, I have not. I shouldn't say that. I probably did once or twice before, but I have not done it since then because you can buy so many colors and I don't know.
And we're already getting the modeling by doing the tea coffee on there. We're kind of getting two different colors, and with using the modeling, how we scrunch, we're already getting movement in the fabric that we wouldn't necessarily need to.
Okay, Beck says I put the pan on the bottom rack. It will be hotter than the center.
Okay.
But I don't think I have a center rack. I just have a top and a bottom. So what do I do?
It's fine.
No.
It's fine.
Just
I
leave
put it anywhere.
Lene
sometimes
says you can
I have
bleach dark fabric.
Oh,
I would be worried about that. That your fabric would deteriorate, like 5 years from now.
yeah, I don't know.
Someone wanted to know how to remove the wrinkles once it's dry, that she tried ironing it, both steam and dry ironing. She couldn't get the wrinkles out.
So we only have experience with dyeing Monaco, and like I said, I've dyed Ada. I dyed Ada for Kimberly. So I don't know if you're using a different kind of fabric. We don't have a problem getting the wrinkles out. Like by the time we're done stitching, it's usually flat.
We also
Okay.
hang dry it, so we hang it over a chair or something after it's been in the oven. We don't keep it to something you're doing too. We do have to use steam when we are ironing. So
And then for the salt, we just did like a teaspoon, right? Or tablespoon?
This,
teaspoon or tablespoon of salt.
probably a half a teaspoon. You can do a teaspoon. I don't think it matters how much you use. Just
To get some in there to
Yeah.
set the dye.
I think that when we did our dye videos, I said like a teaspoon, but it's probably a half a teaspoon that I'm using for a cup of water.
Will the
Gonna show that
fabric
again.
stiffen or soften after it dries?
It's about the same.
We like our fabric
Okay.
kinda
Crunchy. Yeah.
crunchy.
And then
It's not as crunchy as straight out of the tube, but it still has a little bit of body to it.
Stiffness, I'd say.
so when you're dyeing, do you ever just do like use that same amount of water and just do 10 pieces all at once to get the most out of the dye?
Yeah, you've used the
Yes.
pan dye to dip it into the next one.
Normally I dye two
let's scroll up.
pieces at a time
Some-
of the same color because Chelsea gets one, I get one.
And then someone said for the future, I need to know if my racks are movable. We can lower. Yeah, it's okay. I think it's fine. It's just in the oven. It'll be fine. I have
200 degrees doesn't matter.
I have ironed my Rit Dye fabric and it comes out beautifully. Can you restarch it? I don't think they starch.
We don't starch.
Someone said iron it while it's barely wet.
Yeah,
Can
Becky.
you
that, yeah.
tease what color pink is going to be used in future roundabouts?
The one we just dyed today. So
Yes.
I'll be stitching the roundabouts on that one.
Mhm.
You want to show it again? We brought it out of the oven. It's still a little bit moist, but here's where we hang dry it.
And there's a dry piece and this is still damp. So it should end up to be mostly like that.
So is it still in the oven?
Nope, we just brought it out.
No, I just took it out.
Okay, so the one on the
It's
right
okay.
is okay. And then
This
if
one
it's
is the
got,
one we just dyed today.
and if it's a little bit wet, you just like hang it to dry.
Yes.
Most likely it'll still be wet, but you want to keep it in there
Damp.
long enough. Yes, yes. You want to,
We
And
don't
people
leave
are
it in there.
Suggesting best press to use. I mean, they just don't do that. But how many minutes has it been?
This one went in for 20, and what did we do? Another 10?
10. And now
Okay.
we've got 7 minutes
So we
left
only
on
have
our-
6. Well, we've only done 6 minutes. So yes, 200 Fahrenheit. And people love the pink.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about your new sticky circles? So there's 2 sizes now.
So the size that it'll be is this one right here. That one's a little bit bigger. I'm trying to think, what did I use these on? We probably don't have them up here because they were probably on white or black, right? But they're, how big are these? 4 1/4 inch. And the other ones are 3 1/2 inch. So you have 3/4 of an inch difference.
So the black and white checks there for
Mhm.
Chelsea's checks is the same size as that. So now you don't have to cut it. You don't have to use the circle cutter.
Yes.
You don't have to use make it more perfect. You can just slap
Yes.
fabric on there, which makes finishing a lot easier.
Yes, thank you so much, Mac Quarter Shop. That's amazing.
And you didn't rinse the coffee. I know we went over that again, but we have a couple people asking again.
You can rinse it if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to.
We're going to take out the evening blue.
So this is the evening blue. It's darker than what it's going to be because it's still wet. But it's pretty dark.
And again, for this one, we use the antique white instead of the plain white. So it started with a more tan yellow base. And then
Okay,
just
can
one
you-
capful of the...
Can you list the
What?
the colors again that you mainly use?
Yep. So denim blue, aquamarine, The one we use today is evening blue, and I'd say we use that most out of the blues. Apple green, we showed you a lot of finishes with the apple green. Today we'll
And on their patterns, they always list on the back what color they dyed it and if they use tea dye or coffee dye or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then November 15th, we're going to take these pieces and tea dye them also. I don't know how that's going to go. Yeah, y'all
yes,
want to
we'll
see something funny?
we'll just do a
Look at my
plain.
tea. This is full of tea. It's all tea.
What is it?
Lipton tea. So it's full of tea, but I don't use it. It's ridiculous. It's, yeah. Okay, let's see.
Got a use for it now.
Yeah. Okay, what other questions do you guys have? Some people are saying Pyrex will break on the bottom, but it's only 200 degrees, so I think it'll be fine. If it breaks, it'd be funny.
Pyrex?
I don't think
The
it's
glass
gonna break.
pans, no.
Right. We make casseroles in those similar pans. There you go in the oven at 400 degrees and they're fine.
Possibly the same pan. We're not really sure.
And then I'm not sure if Ada or linen would be darker. I think you just have to try it.
Yes.
Linen, I think.
And then
takes dye
not
darker.
NPI. Rit Dye has, Denise told me Rit Dye has 35 colors. And you can go to their website and they list all the colors, but then they also have like if you want to mix some or other stuff, I would just go to their site since we don't do that. I don't do anything.
You just did.
Let's see, do tea dyes, and this is a good question, do tea dyes and coffee come out the same or different?
Different. We usually mix both tea and coffee together to do ours. But like I said, I was being lazy. I was in a hurry and I just used that instant coffee and I loved the way it turned out. So that's why I showed you what I did last week to make that fabric.
And then after, let's say we've dyed our fabric and this is a good question, but this is what we're going to be doing on November 15th. Can you coffee tea dye after you've already dyed your fabric and it's already dry?
Yeah, it's basically what we do. Our fabric is, we put it in the oven first with the dye on it. The way that I did it was totally not how we usually do it. We put it in the oven first just with the dye. Then we do, after it goes in the oven for 20 minutes, then we dunk it in the coffee tea solution and then put it back in the oven for another 20 minutes.
Yep.
And
we can show both Rit dyed on the 15th and just plain white going into the tea coffee to show you the difference between those.
Mm-hmm. And we might do another lazy way of doing it and do one of these colors, but do it just with the coffee in like the same motion where you don't have to get a big pot of coffee and tea on your stove.
does coffee or tea stained fabric smell? Like, can you smell it when you're stitching?
Yeah. A little bit, yes.
I think it probably
It
smells
smells good though.
Yeah, yesterday, Will liked some drink from Starbucks. We got it like a couple of weeks ago. And ever since then, we haven't been able to figure out what it is. So one time I ordered it, I couldn't get it right. Peyton ordered it, couldn't get it right. I ordered something yesterday and Will was like, Mom, this is straight up coffee. I was like, I don't know. We're just trying to find the drink because he ordered something random. So that just made me think of, because my car smelled like coffee.
Yeah, so when we used to use Ziploc bags to store our fabric while we were stitching as project bags, our fabric would smell for a very long time. But now that we use the folios and it's got access to air all day long, you don't smell it as bad. But I think it's a good scent unless you're...
Yes, it doesn't smell bad.
Unless you have an aversion, yep.
And the dye, I don't think smells at all.
No.
What is the pedestal stool Halloween design that's on the screen?
Black Cat Bakery, up on a pedestal.
I see a lot. Okay, so this is a good question from Cariel. I see a lot of questions about starching, but do you typically starch cross stitch fabric?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
We don't.
And then after, another thing we could talk about is after we stitch, none of us like rinse it after or wash it after. We just finish it.
No.
Like we don't do any of that. That doesn't mean
No.
you can't.
And this would be safe to rinse because we're setting it in the oven with the
Right,
heat.
but if you're using any hand-dyed floss,
Over-dyed floss.
you cannot because they're not
Color safe.
they're not
Color fast.
fast.
Color fast. Red fast.
And the
color
dye-
fast.
And you'd end up with a mess.
Yeah, and the dye won't come off on your white floss as long as you're heat setting it.
Right. I've never had a problem with that.
And yeah, I don't starch my cross stitch fabric. Definitely not. Let's see. How many more minutes? 6 more minutes. Okay. So let's see. Everyone's talking about my oven and they say it's screaming to cook for big family dinners. Yeah, that'd be great if I knew how to cook. I actually know how to cook. I just don't. I just don't. But I actually know.
Invite us over and we'll
Yeah, I'll invite you over and then you can cook.
Yeah.
The most
You're
that I
kinda
do, like
messy
this
for
morning, I was
her
just
to
worried that
cook.
Will forgot his lunch. So I was like, Kevin, make sure he takes his lunch. Make sure he takes his lunch. Like, make sure he takes his lunch. And the first thing I asked Jordan when I came out, did Will take his lunch? That's my extent of cooking.
Yesterday, Cash came home from school and he was so excited to tell me that they were reading a book at story time and the author was Kimberly. And so he had to tell everyone how Kimberly, he knows, wrote his book.
The
that
what?
they
I
were
couldn't hear
reading.
you.
Cash came home from school yesterday and they were reading a book at story time and the author's name was Kimberly and he
Oh.
calls you Kimberly. So he had to tell everyone at school that you, his friend Kimberly, wrote
That's
the book.
funny. Denise says, have y'all ever used the fixative from Rit Dye that helps save the color?
No.
Um,
Didn't even know there was such a thing.
We're economical. We
Yeah.
use the kosher salt.
Oh, economical, we're cheap.
Yeah, and doing the Rit Dye this way, it's, inexpensive, and like they said, it's a little bit cheaper at like Michael's, Joann's. Of course, Joann's, you could use a coupon. It's cheaper than getting it at Amazon, but I'm sure that they have it in their Amazon store that you can link.
Mhm.
Carol says, that is so funny. When you said we, it reminded me of when I had a business and employed some college students. I would say, we need to do whatever. One girl said, what part of we are you? Well, that's funny, but I do stuff. Party at Kimberly, let's go. We can all make something. Take this time to get acquainted with your kitchen and cook something. Yeah, no.
I'm bringing the dogs though, so.
Oh my God, Kevin would have a heart attack. Piggy was in the living room and then he started crying this morning. And so he wanted to go in my bed. So I told Jordan if he jumps off the bed, he's like, what do I do with him? I'm like, I don't know, put him back in the bed. But he's sound asleep in the other room. He is like, I don't know what these people are doing in my house, but I need to sleep. He's so lazy.
But you know what's good? Our internet didn't go out at all like it does when we do the thing from.
Yeah.
Yeah, our internet was good
Yeah.
today.
Someone
Yep,
says
we
they
did good.
have. Someone says they have Rit Dye that glows in the dark.
Oh wow. Haven't used that.
Yeah, and using the
That
Rit
would
Dye
be
though, I guess what I was trying to say was it's cheaper than if you have to go and buy like a hand dyed fabric, like Fiber on a Whim.
Yes.
Picture This Plus. Obviously, it's going to take a while for you to get your fabric the way you love it, but
And also, if you keep a basic supply of white and antique white fabrics on hand and a few bottles of dye, you can, when a chart comes out, you can stitch it
that day,
like within hours.
yeah, instead
of waiting for fabric to come.
And really customize it. I mean,
Yes.
the way that you, what would
I
fit
think
your
that
decor.
these ornaments on the blue are just the cutest things ever. So it's so nice to have that option.
have you ever dyed fabric with glitter or sparkle?
We're not sparkly.
I feel like I tried that, and I didn't like it. But you can, you could take just a little piece of it and experiment and see what you get out of it. And
Can I take it out of the oven now?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna just take it out anyway.
it's burnt.
It looks dark.
Is it really wet? It'll dry lighter.
So then what do? Do I just put it on here?
You have to just spread it out on the parchment.
Okay.
And you can keep it still a little bit scrunched, but not as much. You don't want to like pancake flatten it, right? You want to keep it a little bit scrunched.
If she doesn't want any modeling.
And this is parchment paper, right?
Yep.
I don't even know the difference between parchment and wax paper, so if anybody asks, y'all have to answer that.
I use parchment paper to put cookies on, to bake cookies. Is it modeled at all, or is it?
Yeah, it's really it's really modeled a lot. Look. I think it's modeled
yeah.
a lot.
It looks very nice. It'll be lighter than that when it's totally dry. It seems like it's still pretty wet. So you can just re-scrunch it and stick it back in the oven for like 10 more minutes and you should be good. Or you can leave it out. 20 minutes, it should be done.
Okay. Okay, so I think that's what we got today. So thank you so much, Priscilla and Chelsea. Remember, they're going to come back November 15th, and they're going to show us how to tea dye and show us more about that. Do you want to show your dogs before you go?
They're all passed out.
Come here.
Presley.
Oh.
Presley, come here.
Here, I got one.
The wild ones. Where's Petunia?
Oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Mm-hmm. Come on,
She's
Presley.
big.
She's really furry. She's not that big. She'll get to like
Yeah,
20
she's
pounds.
really big. I thought she was going to be smaller.
This is the one that's big.
No, I know, but your puppy has gotten a lot bigger.
Can you see her in there?
Yes, Frank.
She got her haircut and everybody makes fun of her. So
Aww.
yeah, she got kind of shaved. You should be over here. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly, for having us. We enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
thank you. And if y'all have questions, just pop them in the comments and we'll answer them. And hopefully this will be something you can try at your house. And we'll show a picture later when we take it out of the oven. We'll take a photo and put it on the community tab. Just
And we hope
wanna
that
let
you
it
dye
sit there
your
a little
pink.
bit more.
to get ready for our release next month.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Petal pink and white fabric.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Instant coffee.
Yeah, a little instant coffee, or you can do it the real way.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.